All right. Here we go. Crazy week. I guess not crazy week. Crazy time of year, maybe. We'll go with that. Crazy time of year. So, just Logan today. No Kyle on this quick hitter, short notice episode of JV Takes. No Kyle today. He's been busy the last week and a half. I've also been pretty busy the last week and a half. Thus, why I'm recording this episode at 3:46 on a Tuesday afternoon before I drive down I-90 to take in some wrestling. So, yeah, I guess no Kyle. I mean, I think that means no Irish jig. Also means I can say as many dumb things as I want. So, if you are getting this on the JV Takes podcast page, also going to be the opportunity for you to go back and watch this on the YouTube page. My goal here, I don't know, make this a little bit more interactive. I've got my section 1 spreadsheet that I'm working on that I want to go over today. So I guess we'll start sponsors. We'll hit some headlines here, just big things that have happened in Southeastern Minnesota wrestling over the past 7, 8, I suppose I should start with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, whatever it may be. And then I've kind of started to develop a sense of tiers in each of the sections, maybe a little bit in conference as well. Three Rivers is really interesting this year, but more so in the section picture. And I've kind of got that reflected in my spreadsheet, my stats that I'm starting to track. So I want to go over to that last, but like we said, first, hit some sponsors, hit some random headlines. Yeah, going to be saying a lot of wild things today because Kyle is not here to keep me in check. So, Kyle, I know you're listening. Keep a list, write them down. We'll circle back on all of these wild things that I say. So, if you are in fact watching on the YouTube page right now, let me make sure this video is recording decently. Yep, Culver's logo, boom, in the bottom left corner. Culver's cam right there. Thank you to our friends at Culver's for making this video element possible. See if I can make that logo just a touch bigger. That big, beautiful blue Culver's logo, just absolutely gorgeous. Lord knows I'm going to be stopping for some Culver's when I drive through wrestling to get down to Iota tonight. So I was thinking about this the other day. I was volunteering for a Randy Shaver event. I don't remember if it was his golf tournament or he has a gala or gala, whatever they're called, one way or the other. And Culver's was a big sponsor of his, and he got up on the stage and he says, "Hey, thank you, Culver's. I don't have to eat Culver's every single day, but I choose to do it." I'm with you, Randy. I don't choose to eat Culver's multiple times a week, but I do. So thank you. Guerrilla Wrestling Club. You guys on the YouTube page, you also notice I have the Guerrilla Wrestling Club Twitter page pulled up. I'm going to run this by Kyle. I think he's going to be all over this. So, of course, go follow Guerrilla Wrestling Club, Facebook, Twitter, get involved with their practices, get better, do all that good stuff. But as you guys know, Kyle and GWC, they like to have a little back and forth about, hot wrestling opinions. We might just have to circle to the GWC Twitter page once per week to see what the hot opinion of the week is or something like that. I think that's a good idea. So this one I kind of enjoyed. This question here from Cody says, "How do you select your vote for outstanding wrestler at tournaments? Do you go with who won the deepest bracket, who had the toughest final, or who scored the most bonus points?" Honestly, I voted for the deepest bracket, but I think it's some combination of these factors, right? Like last year, Wyatt Hendrickson, I'm assuming he was the outstanding wrestler at the D1 tournament. Didn't win the Hodge, but outstanding wrestler. He would have been because he beat Gable Stevenson, right? You beat Olympic gold medalist, multiple time national champion wrestler. You're probably going to win the outstanding wrestler. Was heavyweight the deepest bracket last year at the NCAA tournament? I don't think it was. So anyways, I think it's some combination of these, but outstanding wrestler. How do you guys select your vote for OW wrestler? This is my favorite tweet that Cody has ever put out there. We're going to have to break this one down in more depth when Kyle is back on the show. But it says, contrary to what JV Fakes shared earlier this week, I'm already up and on the road to an unprecedented day. We're attempting 2 tournaments in one day. Daryl Jagger invite invite in Stewartville this morning, and PEM invite in Plainview this afternoon. Once again, contrary to what JV Fakes shared this week, I'm already up and on the road to an unprecedented day. This tweet came out at 8:54 in the morning. Hey, that's awesome. Good stuff, Cody. All right. Who else do we have to thank? Human Tree Service. Let's navigate over to their Facebook page. And, of course, you guys, like we said, follow Guerrilla Wrestling Club on Twitter. Get involved with all those good hot takes. Human Tree Service here is their Facebook page. You should follow them on Facebook. They are fantastic. Let's read some of these reviews. Human Tree Service was great. Removed 3 trees. Good job. Fair price and very friendly guys. Serious equipment for any job. We'll be calling them for future tree needs for sure. Wow, that's a ringing endorsement. Abby says, these guys do a great job. They took down 7 trees in the yard. Definitely would recommend your larger than average tree. Wow. Another shining endorsement for Human Tree Services. Well done, guys. So Riley's a family man now. Riley's got a family. That's kind of wild. Wonder if that means Dylan does all the dangerous jobs these days. If Dylan's the one in the bucket, climbing the trees, hanging over power lines. Could be. So Riley's got a family. I know with my older brother, he's got a couple little ones. If one of us had to do something dangerous, I'd put my hand in the air. You got to do what you got to do. Okay. We got Culver's. We got Human Tree Service, Guerrilla Wrestling Club. Our friends at the Clash. Thank you to our friends at the Clash for another incredible Clash tournament. I would also follow their Facebook page if you're interested in competing in the Clash next year, which you should be. Boys, girls. As far as I'm aware, they're still doing the girls portion, even though it got slightly smaller this year. Send them a message. And once again, I'm calling for our friends from Wisconsin and Iowa to step up. So Teague from the Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast, if you're listening to this, get some of those Wisconsin. And I guess if you have any Iowa connections, get those teams recruited. So that's enough of that. Headlines. Wrestling headlines in the first, 10, 11 days, 6, 7 days of 2026. It's been pretty eventful. If I was publishing a Section 1 wrestling newspaper, you would look at the front page. Maybe not the front page. You would open up the first or second page. You would see these headlines. Casson Manorville wins the 9th grade state regional qualifier in Plainview. That would have been last Monday, maybe 8 days ago or something like that. And, I think the big takeaway there is they're not going anywhere. They're absolutely not going anywhere. They have an elementary program that is nasty. Their middle schoolers just won the 9th grade deal. We'll see how they do up at the state tournament. I see social media clips of all the stuff they're doing in the offseason. I don't think it's a coincidence that they've been the best program in southeastern Minnesota over the last 15, 20, call it whatever you want, however many years. So, yeah, that was fun. Ninth grade qualifiers, a cool event. Lake City had a team there for the first time. Really cool to see Lake City down there as they kind of revamp their program, step into a new era, get those numbers, bump it up. There's a lot of good things going in Lake City. Then Goodhue is down there. Plainview Elgin Millville had a nasty team. Zambroda Mazeppa or Mazeppa Zambroda was super scrappy, if you can believe that. Mazeppa Zambroda was really scrappy. And Chatfield was down there, and Chatfield had some nasty lightweights on their 9th grade team, just some nasty lightweights on their varsity. So 9th grade state regional, top not state regional, 9th grade regional, top 3 teams qualified for state. My big takeaway is Comets they're going to be around for a long time. Be interesting to follow 1AA, because we don't know what's going to happen with Simley. in coming years as they're kind of on the fringe of Section 1 AA. So another headline in that big, beautiful Southeastern Minnesota wrestling magazine, the Cougars survive the Panthers. The Cardiac Cougars, I guess, if you will. That would have been last Friday. I was over there in Zimbrota with the one, the only Brian Witchman to take in some wrestling. And let's see if I can pull up this box score, because that was a heck of a duel between Zimbrota, Mazeppa, and Pine Island. And I'm hoping we can see more of those in the future. I'm hoping this wasn't the only great Highway 52 rivalry we're going to see for a while, because that's one that ZM has kind of controlled over the past couple decades, maybe even. But Pine Island, of course, bouncing up in the last couple years would be super, super cool to see that rivalry be fun for the next coming years. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull up the results of that one. Nope, we're not. It was a tight one, though. I can tell you off memory, it was 28-26. ZM got the job done. And the reason I say Cardiac Cougars is because I think they just have a knack for, like, team wrestling and getting the job done when they really need to. And, Pine Island had a tough injury default at 21 that would have tightened up the duel even more potentially. But ZM's so good at doing the small things. Like, there's one match where there was a major in hand. Kid gets a takedown. God, maybe it was like Schaefer or more. But somebody gets a takedown at 33 or 39 as time expires. And it comes down to it at heavyweight. Pine Island needs either a tech or a pin to get the job done. And the ZM coaching staff, they know exactly what they're doing. It's a scoreless match. It's late in that one. They're telling their wrestler, you can get taken down. That's fine, but you cannot go to your back. They communicate that to their heavyweight, goes to overtime. He kind of gets snapped down, and a go behind his hit on him, but that's just fine because he knew what he was. Cardiac Cougars know exactly what's required of them, and they're tough, man. They're very tough. They're going to need it, though, in Section 1 AA. So next headline in my wrestling magazine, Caledonia got a big Three Rivers and Section win. Might have been Friday. It's last Friday or Saturday. They tied LARP at 36 and won on criteria. Could be chaos. Could be chaos in Section 1A. Somebody sent me a message after that one. They said, Logan, how about your Screaming Eagles now? What do you think about your Screaming Eagles? And I said, if you think that's going to get me off the bandwagon, losing a little Three Rivers duel to a really good Caledonia Houston team, if I jumped from bandwagon week to week, they would call me Kyle Hunnicky. That's not who I am. So, no, I think 1A is going to be really fun. We'll get into it in more depth in a little bit, but already LARP has beat Chatfield. Caledonia tied LARP. We'll see Caledonia and Chatfield on Friday in a triangular with Plainview and Millville. So I think there's a lot to like in that corner of the world. Speaking of bandwagons that I'm on this year, Century had an 0-4 day on Saturday up in Farmington. That's another headline in our Southeastern Minnesota Wrestling magazine. I am here to say, do not fret. Okay, I'm driving the Century bandwagon. I'm driving the bus. Everyone on this bus behind me, do not get off the bus. Do not stick your head, arms, and legs out of the bus. We are still moving full speed forward. This is still the year of the Panther. There was great competition up there. I'm going to see if I can pull that up here quick. Might be faster to go to the guillotine.com. See if I can pull up Century. Who exactly was there? Lakeville North. Okay. New London Spicer. It's a good program. St. Francis, rock solid. Farmington, they're good. Then I'm going to look at these results. I'm guessing there's some significant wrestlers being missed out of the Century lineup as well. Okay. He's there. He's there. He is there. Yes. Who is that? Yeah, as I suspected, a little bit thin. That's all right. We're going to be okay. Had to forfeit up here at heavyweight. Yeah. Panthers are going to be fine. Don't worry about us. Besides, they just got a big win last Tuesday over in Mankato. Was that Mankato East or Mankato West that Century knocked off last Tuesday? Century. They beat Westfield. They beat Faribault last week. Busy week last week for Rochester Century. They beat Mankato East. See, that's another good win. 34-28 over Mankato East. That's another really solid win. So just because the headline says Century has an 0-4 day, let's all just relax a little bit here. Last headline in my Southeastern Minnesota Wrestling magazine. This is probably the biggest one over the past 8 days. Simley cleans up in Zimbrota. Simley is a very, very, very good wrestling team once again. Last year, they lost in the state semis. First time in maybe 5, 6, 7 years that they did not make it to the state finals. They're back. They're healthy. They have a very, very well-rounded lineup, and they are a very good wrestling team once again. I'm going to try and pull up that box score if you guys are following along with us here on the Culver's cam. The Mazeppa-Zimbrota duels. Zimbrota-Mazeppa 56-17 over Owatonna. Knocked off Centennial. Beat Kenny Wanamingo. And Simley 48. Zimbrota-Mazeppa 9. Simley ZM. Let me check my camera, make sure you guys can see this decently. Yeah, this actually looks pretty good. Props to me for making the Culver's camera work, and props to Culver's. Okay, so Simley down low, they're real good. They're tough. 107, 114, those are like probably top 5, top 10 state entrant type wrestlers in AA. State champ at 121 is awesome. He looked so good. They're good again at 27 and 33. Again, like top 5 in the state type of wrestlers. They're real solid. Scrappy at 39. State champ at 45. State place winner type of guy, at 52. Who knows what the ceiling is there. Again, real scrappy at 160. 172. They're awesome. 89. 215. Heavyweight, scrappy, tough, hard to score on. It's frightening. It's frankly, for the rest of 1AA, it's pretty scary. Coming into the year, I did not expect Simley to quite reload and restack their lineup like this to the point where they could beat ZM by 39. I'm hopeful that we're going to have an interesting team tournament in 1AA still. Have not seen Casa Manorville yet this year, but just having seen Simley on Saturday, had a tough night sleeping Saturday night, tough night sleeping Sunday night. Last night, slept fine eventually, but no, Simley looks dang tough. Dang tough. Kind of feels like, it's Thanksgiving. If Simley comes in and wins the Section 1 AA team tournament and they just roll through the thing, it's going to kind of feel like you had family Thanksgiving, you invited a buddy that you didn't know that well, then he showed up and he ate all the dessert and, stole your girlfriend or something. You know what I mean? Simley being the newcomer to Section 1 AA. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so those are kind of the bigger headlines of things that have happened in the last 10 days or so. As it pertains to the bigger picture in all of this, let's go class by class. We'll start Section 1 Class A, we'll go AA, then we'll go AAA. Just kind of look at how things are shaping up big picture-wise in some of the big remaining duels, whether it may be this week, coming weeks, so on and so on and so on and such. See, my magic spreadsheet is pulled up. Okay, so this is where the part where if you're not watching on YouTube, you may want to be watching on YouTube. It's fine. I'll explain it if you're not and you're listening. But basically what I've got here is all of our Section 1 single A teams, which really interesting that right now, Goodhue is the only HVL team in Section 1A, and then the rest are all Three Rivers schools. As far as I've always remembered, Class A, multiple HVL teams, whether it was back in the ZM was in there, Pine Island, Lake City. I mean, the Byrons and the Stewartvilles of the world, they were never in there. The Cass and Manorvilles, I don't think they were either. But yeah, it's different. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, I guess last year, were there multiple HVL teams in Section 1 Class A? It's a good question. See if we can track that down here. Section 1A team tournament. Chatfield. Okay, so Triton's a Gopher team. They're not HVL. GML West, Dover Yoda, LARP, Goodhue. Do you guys say LARP and LARP? Or do you say LARP? Send me a message. St. Charles, Fillmore Central, Wabasha, Kellogg, Kinman, Mingo. Okay, so there weren't. Goodhue has been the only HVL team for a couple years now in Section 1 Class A. But I guess it probably feels different because Kenny Wanamingo and Triton are both out, and they were go for 9, go for 8 conference teams or whatever. So now it's just basically Goodhue and then 8 Three Rivers teams, which kind of makes it weird because looking at the Goodhue schedule, I think the only Three Rivers team, the only section opponent they're going to see this year is going to be LARP at the end of the month. So anyways, as I said earlier, going to be a really interesting couple of weeks here as Section 1A starts to shape up. I think Chatfield is back to being the best team in 1A. We've already seen LARP beat them, right? Opening weekend. I think Chatfield's got a lot better since then. Had a great bye state. Nearly knocked off Cass and Manorville. They've shown signs of improvement, up in Stillwater at the quad up there. They've gotten much better. I think they are currently the best team in 1A, but I don't think that they're far in front of the pack, right? I think they're leading the pack, but they're not away from the pack. And I'm curious to see if Caledonia can hold up against them on Friday, because Caledonia has not yet lost a section duel or Three Rivers duel. They'll take on Plainview, Elgin, Millville, and Chatfield on Friday. They just tied and beat LARP on criteria at the end of last week. So Caledonia is going to have a puncher's chance. We already know Lewiston, Altura, Rushford, Peterson is going to have a puncher's chance because they beat Chatfield earlier in the year. And then just the style that my Screaming Eagles wrestle, there's always going to be a puncher's chance for a, boom, bang, boom, 6, pin 'em deal. It's like that. So, I mean, those 3 teams, it's going to be interesting to see them wrestle again. Goodhue, man, that's just a mystery to me, knowing that they're really only going to see LARP during the regular season. It's going to be tough to tell how they match up with Chatfield, the Screaming Eagles, Caledonia, until we actually get into the section tournament. So it's like, you better be ready to wrestle those when you show up to wrestle those. I don't know how Goodhue really stacks up with Chatfield, LARP, and Caledonia. I also don't know how they align with the next tier of teams, Dover Yoda, St. Charles. Because, those guys have their hats in the rings as well. They have not wrestled many section and conference opponents. Dover Yoda has a 6-point win over St. Charles really, really early in the year. So maybe those are 4, 5, 6 seeds, somewhere fighting in there. And then beyond that, you got Fillmore Central, La Crescent, and Wabasha Kellogg. I'm really curious to see Dover Yoda tonight. I want to see how their lineup looks. St. Charles, I'm going to try and, I've seen them through a live stream, but you can fake a lot through a live stream. Like, for example, I'm hiding my hairline right now on this live stream, but St. Charles, Dover Yoda, I want to see both of them. I think they probably both have a puncher's chance at getting down to the Civic Center, right? Cracking the top 4 team, being a dangerous team in the Three Rivers. So I think it'll be fun to see both of them. It'd be really awesome to see St. Charles down at the Civic Center again. I got to find out the last time we had the Saints down at the Civic Center, because I think that would be pretty sweet to see those guys down there. All right, that is Section 1A. Just kind of some current matchups. I don't know, I guess big picture thoughts. What's going on in Section 1A? Let's move up to Double A here, where I have my big, beautiful spreadsheet. I'm going to move my Culver's logo to the right side of our screen and just shrink it a touch here. Okay. A big, beautiful Culver's logo. So right now, as I said earlier, I think Simley, I'm going to wait until I see KM later in the week, but I think it's trending in the direction of Simley being maybe not the healthy favorite, maybe the clear favorite. See what KM has to say about that. But I mean, Simley just beat ZM by nearly 40, if not 40. Their lineup, rock solid, top to bottom. Even the spots where you look at the lineup and you're like, who is that kid? Who is Jimmy Johns? I've never heard of that kid. Well, I can guarantee you he's probably going to win 25 matches this year. He's going to be rock solid. He's going to stay in good position, and he's going to be hard to score on. So, like, that's the floor that I saw in the Simley lineup. And then you mix in a couple state champs, some real team point scores. It's like they're going to be tough to beat. I'd probably say the same thing for Cast Manorville, though, right? Top to bottom of their lineup, they're going to be hard to take down. They're going to be hard to score on. If Simley and KM do end up meeting up in the postseason, which they're likely gonna, they will not be seeing each other in the regular season. Actually, not a lot of common opponents either. Simley and KM both kind of like to get out of the area to do wrestling, it seems like. But I think if they do meet up in the postseason, holy smokes, does that have the potential to be a very, very low-scoring duel between KM and Simley. So like I said, want to see KM at the end of this week. We still need to see them wrestle ZM. It's coming up on January 23rd now, 10 days from now or whatever. But could they emerge from the pack that is ZM, Pine Island, and Plainview Elgin Millville? Because we've seen those three teams all wrestle. Well, we haven't seen Pine Island and Plainview Elgin Millville wrestle, but ZM being kind of the common denominator, I think those three teams are packed together pretty tightly. ZM being the best, having a win over Pine Island, having the win over Plainview Elgin Millville, but those are both good duels. I kind of see those three shaping up as a pack. I don't know if KM is part of that. I don't know if KM is closer to Simley. We're going to kind of find out more on KM as they wrestle ZM on the 23rd, and then they'll wrestle Pine Island on the 29th of this month as well. So Pine Island, Plainview, Elgin Millville, those are my teams. It's looking like there's a real chance that they wrestle to decide to see who goes to the Civic Center, depending on how this next 3, 4, 5 weeks shapes up. That's going to break my heart a little bit, but I think what really makes 1AA so tough, obviously you've got these high-end teams, Simley, KM, two of the top 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the state. ZM, Pine Island, Plainview, Elgin Millville, really, really balanced teams, strong teams. And then beyond that, you've got teams who might not quite round out a lineup so much, but Cannon Falls is potentially going to have what? Like 4 state place winners? Or those type of wrestlers? 2, 3, 4, 5 state place winning type of wrestlers. Waseca is going to have a couple of those. Got Verhoeven up top. Barnett in the middleweights. Tougher than nails. Lake City, just saw them week 10 days ago. Lopez Ramirez brothers look tough. They've got some other scrappers in there. And it's just like, even the teams that are maybe not quite ready to compete for a team section title, they still have these really high-level individuals. And for as nasty as the team race is going to be in 1AA, individual race is going to be just as filthy. There's going to be a lot of kids staying home that shouldn't be, and that's kind of how I see 1AA at the moment. All right, we just hit the 30-minute mark, which means that I need to get my butt moving on the road. On the road again. All right, 1 AAA will finish us out today. So Rochester Century. It's crazy, but they have done so much heavy lifting already in one AAA. Tight wins by 4 points over Albert Lee, 4 points over Northfield, beat Owatonna pretty handedly by 20, got it done against Faribault. They've still got that all-important match against Rochester Mayo, but they have done the majority of their heavy lifting already when it comes to Big Nine opponents and section opponents. It just dawned on me, if they get the job done here in these next couple weeks, they're probably going to win their first ever Big Nine title, if I had to guess. And then it's the exact opposite for Albert Lee. Albert Lee has wrestled Century, lost to them by 4. And then they've also wrestled Austin and beat them pretty handedly, but they still have their most important section matchups to come. They'll wrestle Northfield down the stretch. They'll wrestle Owatonna down the stretch. They'll see Rochester Mayo. It's kind of the nice thing about AAA wrestling. All these Big Nine teams, they're going to run into each other. Things are going to be pretty cut and dry by the time you get to the postseason. And these top 4, top 5, I anticipate them all tucked in so tightly together that it's going to make for a really, really fun section tournament. Actually, let's not even go that far. Let's not even go out to the section tournament. These next 2, 3, 4 weeks with all these Big Nine duels are going to be super fun. Albert Lee versus Northfield. Albert Lee versus Owatonna at the end of the month. Albert Lee and Rochester Mayo. Century and Rochester Mayo. All these Big Nine duels coming down the stretch. Going to be pretty darn good. And at this point, still anybody's race. There's a pack of, I would say maybe 3. Maybe not a super tight pack, but Century's out in front. They've got Albert Lee and Northfield trying to chase them. Owatonna and Mayo nipping at the heels. Then you got your Faribaults, John Marshalls, Austin trying to get involved as well. So, yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun things happening in the wrestling world this time of year. A lot of conference matches coming up, which means a lot of section opponents going to be throwing down here into the middle of January. I think that'll do it. Hopefully I gave Kyle a nice long list of things that he wants to resurface on the next episode. Accuse me of saying preposterous things. We'll do it. All right, that'll do it, guys. Hey, thanks for checking in on this quick hitter episode. We'll probably see you next weekend. More wrestling content as big things going down here in the middle of January.